Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Nerds, One Quest. I'm your host, JC Dittmer. For this summer edition, no DMing, no players. Well, we're all players, but no, no game through the summer because of, as anybody that's listened to us for a long time realizes, we get very sketchy in the summer. So in order to try and be a little bit more consistent during the summer, we're just doing talk show geek shit and bringing you that. So we'll have a rotating cast depending on who can make it and who can't make it. And as you can see, we are already down to Jeff this morning. He has been his house is under lock and key due to
illness,
new COVID. So that man you hear sipping out of his coffee is one Tom M. Norman. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Oh, I am here. I'm for this nerd shit.
You're here, you're there, you're every fucking where. Tom Norman.
I'm here, I'm there, I'm every fucking where.
Yeah. Oh, we should do a breakdown of that at some point during the summer. That would be a good conversation for, like, we could probably do a whole show about Ted Lasso.
I mean,
that other man joining us is
yeah.
Yeah. Although the European soccer season just ended with its like grand poobah finale yesterday, being the UEFA Champions League. But before I get into anything about that man drinking from his drink and joining us, having a pastry this morning for breakfast, I'm a little jealous. There is one Ryan Crixus Kukta. How you doing this morning, sir?
Boomtown. Let's get them this summer. My pastry, just for those, there's a place down here called Cheeky Donuts, and they do donuts differently. It's basically like a croissant donut, and it's one of the best things I've ever had in my mouth.
Like a
so
cronut?
if you're down here, John, yeah, kind of, but it's not in donut shape. They're basically like pretzels, essentially, how they're arranged. They're like pulled yeast donuts, but they're amazing. And if I have either of you down here on a weekend, I'll pick those up, and you will imbibe.
Yes,
I want that in my mouth.
I'm considering making a trip just to get one.
Oh, so the thing is, you order them online and you go pick them up during your allotted time, because as soon as they sell out for the day, they close. So basically, they open Friday and Saturday, and you can only get them from like 7 a.m. to about noon, and then they sell out.
Well, thanks for the tip, because
yeah, yes, cheekydonuts.com. You can order them by a slot. I would usually get a 9-pack, which is basically you pay for 8, you get 9 donuts, and it's amazing. So do it.
I am all over that. That sounds freaking delicious. So with the cast all here and representative, we may be joined later, possibly. I don't know. There is a chance. I heard yesterday talking to him. We will get this shit kicked off.
You didn't say who you heard from. You just...
Oh, I know. It's going to be a surprise if he joins it.
Oh, okay.
But if anyone's watched this for any significant amount of time, and we know Jeff isn't here, there's only one other person that just joined us in the past. So put 2 and 2 together, folks. Got to be a fan of the show to know. If you know, you know, right? Oh, but yes, as I was saying earlier, the European soccer season is over. Champions League final yesterday. Inter Milan lost to PSG 5-0. That was a game I really didn't care who won, and it was interesting to watch PSG just finally dominate someone in the final. I was more interested in and watched after the fact because it wasn't shown on the broadcast. Linkin Park opened up for that. They were the opening act for it. And if you haven't watched that performance, I suggest you go do so.
I haven't. It's on my list.
I watched it. My son watched it last night after the game, and I was like, I need to go to the show now.
Man,
because it was a 6-minute thing. but they did like 5 different songs in that 6 minutes, and how they put all those songs together was freaking cool. Like, Mike Shinoda's a genius, and I love when they mash crap together. And that was the Mashiest of, like, it reminded me of like Collision Course, which was one of my favorite things that they've ever done.
Collision Course is amazing. Yeah, the show. I need to watch that clip, and I watch, going into concerts. I am one who will go on YouTube and watch as much live shit as I can, because to
Tom,
me,
you are the strangest human. You avoid trailers at all costs, but you will literally watch live shows going into watching a live show.
because it's an audience participation thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Because-
I get that.
Because if it's a band I've never seen, I want to be a part of the show where everybody who
Part of the
knows what's
pop when
going
the
on
popular song goes on.
does the thing.
Yeah.
And
I'll give you 2 examples. When I went to see OAR and everybody like shot the deck of cards in the air.
Crazy
during
Game of Poker.
Crazy Game of Poker. I didn't know anything about that, but I would have loved to participate.
Yeah.
And when we saw Avatar, and the pit was running around in circles, that would have been cool to know that was going to happen.
That's fair.
And
That's fair. I can get that.
to be fair, that happens randomly all the time during a metal show.
So it's true. Either that or they throw skeletons in the audience and they get torn apart, which was amazing when New Year's Day played when we went and saw them last.
Yeah, that was fun as shit.
I got a picture of just the torso of the skeleton. Just
Body
crowd
surfing.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's great.
Yeah. So, TVs and movies, big TV news. Big TV news today. The trailer for Stranger Things Season 5 came out 11 hours ago. If you have not watched it, there aren't a ton of spoilers in it. There's a couple of shots where there's spoilers, but the big news about it is, when is it coming? The first part, because they always release it in parts.
Hate that.
The first part is coming the night before Thanksgiving. The second part is coming on Christmas Day. And the finale will be on New Year's Eve.
That's weird.
I think it's brilliant.
No, I mean that that's brilliant because it's all the holidays where people are around to watch. But I would think that
families
part
are
one would come around, I don't know, Halloween.
maybe. Yeah.
I think that is a good point, right? Like, you want to own Halloween if you're any kind of scary show. I wonder if they also don't want to compete with all the horror stuff coming out at Halloween. Because this way, I do think they'll probably own social media over those particular days. So,
considering as big as it is, I don't think it would matter. It would have to be something.
I was just gonna say that. I think it's extended beyond horror, and it is a cultural thing now, and it is literally going to own the conversation through the holidays, which will be nice instead of politics.
Yeah.
Maybe we can unite families around the television again. Oh boy.
No.
All right, kids. We're gonna sit around the TV.
Going there. Yeah, exactly. But think about it. You get together. Everyone's coming into town Wednesday for a Thursday Thanksgiving. You're all home that night, prepping for Thanksgiving and whatnot. You all sit down as a family and watch. Like you said, Ryan, your kids have seen it all now at this point. It will be a massive event for those episodes, and I'm really curious to see how they end all this. And I'm going to. I don't know whether I will be incredibly excited or incredibly disappointed if at the end we just see a die roll on a table and it's the little kids again, and they're like, "Wow, that was a really good game, Mike." If they do something like that, like the whole, what was it, Dallas? That was a dream or something.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Oh my God.
I don't know. They wouldn't do that. People would lose their shit.
I think here's what I want to say. I think you can't please everybody when you do like the last of something this important to people. Like, you know, you think about Seinfeld, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, like they were monumentous finals, but like everybody's like, oh, that kind of ruined it for me. Like, if that ruined it for you, I don't know that you really loved it. Yeah, so like at the end of the day, I just think you've got to take it in context. Like, this story needs an ending. And if you look at it as the way that creatively the decision makers ended the story and that it's their story, not necessarily yours, I think you get a lot more out of it. But like with Game of Thrones especially, people are like, that's not how I wanted it to end. Well, like, it's not your story to tell. So you should enjoy it and you can feel free to critique it. But if it ruined it for you, like,
sorry,
you're too invested in something that it's not yours.
I loved it. I absolutely loved the ending of Game of Thrones, and if you didn't see that coming in Daenerys, yes, she was a savior for a lot of people. Yes, she had a large following of a lot of people, but she had a large following of a lot of very violent people. All her talk, although calm, was very violent. I'm going to break the wheel of what we do. Everything she talked about the whole while, although not presented in a violent manner, was very violent talk. So if you didn't see that coming, I think that's kind of on you.
Well, and she backed it up when she had to.
Yeah. And that is, Emilia Clarke also said, had I known that was the way it was going to end, I would have played it slightly different the whole way through. And I can see that. And that's part of the frustration of George R.R. Martin not finishing a book. Here's a side tangent. Okay. Do we want to start a bet board? What book comes out first, The Winds of Winter or The Doors of Stone by Patrick Rothfuss?
I'm not sure The Doors of Stone will ever come out, right? I mean,
or does one of them die? What's the...
Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? I mean,
exactly.
If you can't, if you're an artist and a writer, especially, and you can't find the story after a decade,
it's not coming.
I don't. What at this point is going to inspire you to do it? I don't know.
Or Brandon Sanderson blows my mind. Dude writes like Alexander Hamilton. It's freaking crazy.
I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, but
you're doing Stormlight right now, right?
Yeah, I don't have the depth in yet. I'm about halfway, 3/4 way through book 1.
That is something that we should talk about as we go through the summer, especially if you guys both work on finishing that book through the course of the summer. It'd be kind of a neat update thing as someone who has read it.
I just started.
You just finished book 1?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm in book 4, like halfway through, a little better than halfway through. Book 4 is a trip.
I feel like we need to get Pat in here at some point.
Yeah, we could. Honestly, we could bring him in at the when Ryan finishes book 1, maybe.
Sounds great.
And go through and we can talk about.
I mean, I'll be finished probably by the end of next week, so you take that as you will. So.
Cool. I like older Ryan. He reads quicker. I remember recommending books to you back like 15 years ago, and it took you forever to read one.
Yeah, I wasn't as motivated then, but as I get older, life slows down while still speeding up, right? I mean,
it's weird.
I'm like, I only want to read for 15 minutes because I got this video game to play and I got this to do. And as I get older, I just want to sit in peace and quiet and read for a while. So
yeah. Other TV stuff. We had 2 finales in the last 3 weeks. Both the finale of season 2 of The Last of Us and the finale of season 2 of Andor. Have we all watched Andor all the way through? Ryan? Yes? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Watching season 2 of Andor, brought. I mean, I liked some characters, but I am deeply in love with some of these characters now, and I'm talking specifically about Luthen and Clea. That whole episode where you got to see how they met, what their relationship is, and what they're doing, and just the climactic end to that episode was, those two are the coolest fucking characters in that whole show, and I love Cassian. So, thoughts?
Yeah,
Luthen?
I mean, because it's so widely adored, there's nothing that I'm gonna say that is completely different from what you've already heard. But the reality is, it's a work of art. I mean, the way that they intermesh the characters and getting from point A to point B successfully without kind of breaking, quote unquote, your concept of Star Wars. You kind of look at all the last 3 movies and stuff like that, 7, 8, and 9, and you look at Andor and you're like, why couldn't you have been more like this? Because this is my Star Wars, not like, they built 8 billion ships in 30 seconds. Like, no, I mean, if you watch Andor, like, look at the individual components of the Death Star being built inside those prisons, how long it takes, but that's reality, right? And it brought Star Wars, the world, into the reality of physics and people and relationships, and that's what I want my Star Wars to be, about the characters and the relationships, not about like, how are we gonna do this? I don't know. Let's just magic 8 million things, and it's the Force. We'll just say it's the Force.
It humanizes it. I think people relate better to the human element versus the mystical. So when you have shows that really play heavy on character development and not the mystical magical, I think those are the shows that tend to have the bigger drawing. Just in anything, not even Star Wars, but that's I think that's why people loved Game of Thrones so much. Is they had mystical shit, but like character development was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the mystical shit was tied to the character, and the right and wrong of it was tied to the character, right? And so you're not just doing it in a vacuum, and that's kind of what it, with the Star Wars stuff, and like, oh well, we don't have a plot mechanic for this or to this, so they go on a quest and find this widget, right? And it's just like, the MacGuffin isn't a way to get us there. It's, okay, you make a new relationship, you find a new inroad, it changes the person fundamentally for the next step as they go forward. And that's how you make good shows. And everything that Andor did as he went through fundamentally changed him to the point where he can make the decisions he made in Rogue One. And they figured it out how to make it feel impactful, even more so than it was before. So I applaud all the attention to detail. The blasters are the same here. The scratch on K2SO is the same as the scratch on it in Rogue One, right? It's those minor pieces that really make it as a masterpiece as I thought it was.
Yeah. K2SO. You mentioned K2SO. Stealing the show. Good stories and everything tend to focus on those relationships. Like, I find everything that I really like in media, whether it's a book or a movie or a TV show, it has solid relationships and character development. And it is, I mean, stuff like Ted Lasso. I mean, just if you look at that character development stuff from the beginning of it to the very end of it, and look at where Jamie was, and where Rebecca was, and where Roy was, and even where Ted was, like they all, like, even Beard to an extent, although it's a smaller movement on the gauge, advances his character through the course of that, and it is a it's something that you can't. That's what people connect with, because we all have relationships. We all have people we're friends with, people we're angry with, people we're in love with. It all. That's the human element of any story. And as you're talking about this, Ryan, I'm looking back and I'm thinking back on the Warcraft campaign that we did in fall, and I'm thinking, wow, that really kind of missed it, where Tom's campaign in spring really kind of had it, because we had found a way to have our characters represented through their relationships, not just who they were. Where I really kind of missed the boat on that with that Warcraft thing, and it was kind of a light bulb moment for me as far as the DM. And I'm really curious to see how that will affect what I do going forward.
Well, I mean, it's about the players too, right? I mean, the players have to develop their characters into realistic moments, but to your point, give them those opportunities, right? You're sitting in camp. What are you going to do? Is there anything you want to tell this person, right?
Yeah.
Prompt them to build that relationship, to build those moments. Otherwise, you might see it's not naturally happening, so we've got to usher it along.
Yeah, and that's kind of on, like, you guys did a fantastic job with keeping that storyline throughout all those modules, keeping that storyline of all three of you together, versus, what we did. That's on us as the players to bring that level of depth to our character that, maybe we just weren't feeling it. Maybe it was just, we were trying to think it.
I don't know that I gave you a lot of opportunity to show it or talk about it, or even prompted you to do such a thing. Like, I know when I ran that first initial campaign that you were part of, Ryan, that there was a lot of times where I said, you have the night to talk. If you guys would like to talk. And some of the shit that they came up with in the middle of that, like, they'd be talking and two people would have a conversation for like 15 minutes, and then it's like suddenly two other people are like, oh, we're off to the side over here doing this, and we have this, and then they start talking, and it's like, wow. And suddenly the night's gone and we haven't fought anything, we haven't gone anywhere beyond a campfire.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it though, and I just want to get a little bit into with your original campaign. It was about the relationships a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So, Jeff's character is related to Tana, and so there's some natural interaction between characters, right? I think, to your point, like, a DM can put you in the position, the players have to take it there and drive it home. But you can definitely set up a scenario where, like, hey, you're in your hometown, what do you do? And that should bring through some of your personality of your character. If you as a player don't bring that forward, that's a failure on your part to say, oh, this is my hometown, but I don't know anybody. I go to the bar and get drunk. Like, okay, well, you missed an opportunity to really make an impression with your character.
We did a lot of going to bars in the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, guys, we gotta stop, because every night is us sitting in a bar scenario, and I'm running out of ideas for bar scenarios.
Right.
But
right.
Ryan, you mentioned going back to your hometown and giving it to the players, and I remember going back to Catello, where your character's hometown, to bring this, like, a nice little callback here. What does his family do? They run a pastry shop.
Perfect. All comes back around to donuts.
Donuts, man.
As well it should, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I'm going to have to go get a donut after this.
I know. Uncle Mike's is literally 4 blocks down the road.
Oh, yeah, and Uncle Mike's...
They're building one They're building one a mile from my house, by the way.
Do it.
Cool. You'll
gonna be a disaster.
within a mile of your house too. All three of us will.
It's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, there's one like literally a 5-minute drive for me. It's like a 2-minute drive for Tom.
Oh man.
That's crazy. Any last thoughts on Andor or anything like that?
No, they left it off perfect. I really liked how it was 2 seasons. They told the story they wanted to tell. I liked that they did every 3 episodes. They jumped forward a year. I wish more, like, if they came out with a Kenobi that did that 3 episodes, jump forward a year, I think they could still tell a fantastic Kenobi story. They just can't do any wrong with Star Wars episodic shit right now. Like, they just need to keep doing that.
I'm sorry, I do have to say, Ewan McGregor is literally one of the best actors you could have ever put in that position.
Mm-hmm.
I feel he's Obi-Wan. Like, I when I watch him, no matter what he's doing, no matter what movie he's in right now, I'm like, oh, sweet, Obi-Wan's in that. Like, it just is, he is that character. And to your point, Tom, like, I would watch him in any scenario as Obi-Wan and be riveted.
Mm-hmm. It's literally, it's that Graham Norton show quote, that's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh man,
you can see it. You can see it on the kid's face. He's like, "Oh, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Well,
and
the casting though was brilliant because he looks like a younger, what's his face?
Version of Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness, yeah. Like, the mannerisms, the voice, the look, like all of that fit, and I think that also has the buy-in.
Yeah. If you go back and watch it, you can tell he's the perfect person, and like all these people keep surfacing. Sam Witwer, Dave Filoni, Ewan McGregor, to a lesser extent, because I don't know if he's the encyclopedia that those two are. But if you go back and watch the making of episode 1, and there's a scene where he's getting his hair cut, and they're trying to determine how Padawans have their hair cut, and he was so excited. Every scene you saw with him, he's discussing being young Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you could see the excitement there a little bit. But then when they came up and had him choose his lightsaber hilt, and like he was beyond. Can you imagine that, being an actor loving Star Wars, and someone comes to you with a briefcase and just opens it up and says, "Pick one," and there's 6 lightsaber hilts sitting there.
Oh, that's instant wood.
This will be your character's lightsaber, and people will buy replicas of this thing.
John, I teared up when I built my own and paid for it in cash. So, so you don't think as a professional actor you feel like you've reached the pinnacle when you get to pick your own custom lightsaber. Yeah, I think he was pretty happy about it.
I think I gotta. I definitely got after the wedding. After I pay for the wedding, I gotta get down to Disney World for that for sure. I have not been down there yet, sadly.
I struggle because I have no desire to go to Disney World, but I want to see the fucking Mario shit. I want to see the Star Wars shit. I want to see the
the Star Wars is a cool location. They really did just like change a area of the park to be like a Star Wars town. So it is cool to see.
And everything I've seen about it, every little video or clip I've seen, the First Order troopers walking around, Rey walking around, Kylo Ren, Chewbacca, the little freaking droids walking out and stuff, coming around the corner, and the Millennium Falcon being right there. I know when I go, it's going to hit me like a smack in the face coming around the corner and seeing it. I know it's there. I've seen videos of other men, grown-ass men like myself, raised on this, going around the corner and tearing up, and I know that's going to be me. Even though I know it's there. I know it's there, I know it's beautiful, I know it's going to be amazing, but I'm going to come around the corner, it's going to be sitting... I'm getting emotional talking about it. Right there in front of you, that'd be... Yeah, I got to get down there, for sure. That's
you got it, pal.
Priority 1 after the wedding. Andor being done, The Last of Us also ended. Tom Norman, did you watch all of The Last of Us season 2, or Ryan Kuka?
I have
This
not
may be an
seen
incredibly short.
a single episode of season 2 because I am about 3 hours into Abby's portion of the game.
Okay, good. Then we can have some conversation because you are beyond season 2. Like you can say, I believe. Oh no, because they did a funky thing where they took an episode and did a bunch of flashbacks. They like crammed all the flashbacks from the game into one episode, which was really cool, and then added some stuff to it. But we can dance around it carefully.
Yeah, we can discuss. I'm happy to discuss because the game to me is more important than the show. The show is going to be whatever the show is. Like when I watch something that has already been done, like nothing is going to surprise. Like even the spoilers for that isn't going to surprise me because I played the game and the game is what I reference.
That is the beautiful thing about this, Tom. Because Neil Druckmann is involved in the show, the things that have been changed for a TV show and actually
makes it better.
Not makes it better, but someone that knows the game, like myself, intimately, like I've played this game 3 times over, it creates tension when the story doesn't go the way I think it's supposed to go. And I don't know what's going on. Case in point, the whole spoilers, anyone, if you haven't seen Last of Us, and this is weeks old at this point.
Part 2.
Spoiler time is like 2 weeks, right?
Well, that's a whole different topic altogether. I don't hold to that.
Yeah. So spoilers, if anyone wants to not be spoiled about Last of Us Season 2. When 3, 2, 1. When Joel dies. And then like, here, Grand Poobah spoiler. Let's put it right up there the first time. There is some definite differences because everything that is going on at the same time that scene is going on with Jackson is amazing and intense and on the same level of intensity as that scene. And so the way they kind of did it and changed things is really, really smart. And I really kind of enjoyed it. It showed them the people around Abby. Trying to think of all their names. Mal, Manny. What's the main guy?
I'm terrible with names. Don't ask me. I'm playing the fucking thing.
Owen. all of them were very, we're going to go help you do this one thing, and that is kill Joel. Everyone else they came across is treated like there's no like mishandling of it. They don't knock anyone out physically. They do it medically, which is different than the game. They restrain, and the person that's with him is different in that moment when he's out exploring. So I'm trying not to spoil things for you, but it's not Tommy. I'm just going to say that. It's a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And they put them out medically. They inject them and put a sleeping thing in. So they end up asleep through an injection instead of being knocked out with a punch. And the whole thing still goes down almost frame for frame to the game, other than when it is all said and done, instead of fading to black on Joel, there's a really, really touching moment where Ellie is dragging herself to him and then basically lays on top of him, and there's a great shot in that moment. And yeah, super cool, super well done, but there's some tension there in Jackson that's going on at the same time, and it makes the whole just fucking edge of your seat.
Yeah.
I remember that when the credits rolling and going, wow, that was good.
It's funny because you can tell who has played the game and who hasn't and who's just watching the show, because the number of people that were pissed that Joel got murked in episode 2 I'm like, dude, that happened in like the first 3 hours of the game.
Yeah.
Like that's like,
Yeah, right.
That's like, because my brother-in-law said that. He's like, does Joel die? I'm like, yeah, but he also died. But I'm like, but he comes back throughout the entire game. Like he's
There's flashbacks.
like he's not gone. Like he's he's mush. His head is all pancaked, but yeah,
It's like you
Yeah, I mean-
12 runs.
You make the same correlation though as you watch a show and you see like the title actor, right, die, just like Game of Thrones. The title actor dies.
Sean
And
Bean.
it's
Yeah.
hard to believe. Like you just like they must go back in time and save him or something, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like that guy is the reason you tune in, but then you
Mm-hmm.
realize like you're so bought into that moment that it drives your thirst for more and more and more until you've bought into all the characters. But
Yep.
it is that title actor's death is hard to believe
Mm-hmm.
from just simply from a like, well, what's the point then of keeping watching it? Because all the other actors are like B actors, they're bit players. You don't think about that when you're playing the game because now you've got a bigger problem. Your guy is gone. How are you going to survive on your own?
mm-hmm.
Whereas on a show, you're like, well, it's all about the actors behind the scenes. And am I going to still be as interested in the show without, without that type of actor carrying the scenes?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: the game is still fantastic without Joel throughout the entire thing.
I'll bet
yeah.
that it is. I'll bet that it is.
On the TV show does a good job as well. And like I said, they crammed. Did you do the museum yet, Tom?
With Abby,
No. Ellie and Joel.
yeah, because that was with the dinosaurs and shit.
Yeah. Yep. So that's one of the flashbacks. They go back and it's really neat the way they do that whole episode. It's her birthdays.
Mhm.
Her first birthday with them, her second birthday with them, her third birthday with them, and they go through them, and it's really neat how they put all that together, and then they get 2 flashbacks of the modern day.
And that makes sense to do it that way. Like the video game makes sense to do flashbacks intermittently, but I feel like if you're going to do flashbacks in a show, you kind of need to do them together. Otherwise, the show feels super disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I
Yeah,
can't
it's
think
like,
of the
oh shit, something.
Yeah, I can't think of the show that Stacey and I were watching a couple months ago, and they were always doing. I think it was like one of the Suits LA or something, and they were always doing these. Like you could never tell which episode was a flashback and which and they kept jumping back and forth. The only way you can tell is that the lens was a little more orangey, but even that was like, is this old or is this new? Like that doesn't work. Like with something like this where they have constant flashbacks, putting it all together so it makes sense is better than breaking it up over the course of 8 episodes.
You mean like
And the
trying to find
showrunners
your...
think they're slick, right? Like they
Yeah.
think they're like, oh, we want a little bit of mystery, and it's
Mhm.
like, no, we want a cohesive story first.
Yeah.
trying to find your way through The Witcher season 1.
Yeah.
That
I
was-
mean, that's a great point though. Like, there's a payoff at the end, but then you still almost feel like you got to watch it again to like,
Yep.
okay, what lines up with what? And I don't want to feel that way when I'm done with the season. I want to feel a sense of like, wow, not a
Yeah.
feeling of like, okay, now how did that work? And
And I
that's
think
how
that-
I did watch it again.
Yep. And I think the biggest thing I told anyone going into it when they watched it, and someone told it to me or I read it somewhere, if you're going to watch season 1 of Witcher and you've not seen The Witcher, you need to understand it is 3 different timelines. Geralt is considered the present. Yennefer is in the past. And Ciri is in the future. And that stays that way until their timelines touch somewhere. and that will help you watch the episodes without
I'll have to go back and
getting
watch
shit
that.
confused. Yeah.
Like I loved season 1 of The Witcher. I thought it was fun.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at this to that point, it was like, what the fuck?
Who's
what are we
where
doing?
and how did that how did that all interrelate, right?
Yeah. Well, The Last of Us led us kind of into video games a little bit. Just quick touch. Tom Norman, how you liking The Last of Us 2?
Oh, I love
Enjoying
it. I love it. There's a game that I've been waiting for a 1.0 to drop, Tainted Grail, which we can get into at a different point, John. We can talk about that and Kukta, because you like Elden Ring and that kind of shit.
I've seen it and I've been curious about it. So if you have it, I would like to talk about it at some time.
I have it. I've been following because I was a part of the I backed it on Kickstarter 6-7 years ago for the card game, Tainted Grail, the card game. The original video game was supposed to be what Tainted Grail Conquest is, which is kind of a third-person card battler. And that's what Tainted Grail was going to be. And then they broke it off into 2 games, Conquest, and then they turned it into this first-person Skyrim, Elden Ring style thing. That's neither here nor there. Last of Us 2 is... I love it. The Ellie, or the Abby reveal that spoiler alert again in 3, 2, 1, that she was the daughter of the scientist or the doctor that Joel murked.
Amazingly enough, Tom, they
like,
don't hide that. They don't hide that in the show. That's mentioned in episode 1.
Oh, they should.
It's weird.
They should have hid that.
Yeah, not necessarily that her dad was the doctor, but that her dad was one of the guys that he killed in the hospital.
That reveal, as I was playing Abby, I'm like, okay, how is this going? And then suddenly, it slowly started to dawn, they slowly started to reveal it. I was like, no fucking way.
Mm-hmm.
That was just...
That's the moment that it was like, what? Oh.
Funny. That would be a powerful reveal if it wasn't fed to us on the show. That would have been an extra punch in the gut.
I think the reason they did that, and here's my theory, and we'd actually have to get someone to ask Neil Druckmann about it. I think the reason they did it was to protect Caitlin Dever, because Laura Bailey took a lot of shit online, death threats to her and her children, because she played this role. Because there are unstable people out there. People don't do shit like that. It's a story. It's a freaking story. Laura had nothing to do with it other than she lent her voice to it. Be mad at the character, not the actor.
Weird.
The fact that you were so mad just lends credence to what a damn good job she did portraying the character. Marvel in her craft and be pissed at the character, but applaud her for her acting.
Yeah, it's the voice acting is fantastic. The emotions are all there. The graphics, the upscaling, it looks like a great PC. Because I'm playing on a PC, it's fun. Yeah, it is.
Well, it's one of the most beautiful games. I still playing through that for opening sequence. I mean, that game, on the PS4, looks better than 75% of the stuff I played on PS5.
Mm-hmm. And the Last of Us,
I don't know
part
how.
1 was the same. That was when that came out. That was the end life cycle of the PS3, right?
PS3. Yep.
And that was phenomenally gorgeous.
Programming magic they have over there at Naughty Dog, but man, whoever's working that shit knows their stuff.
The magic
which
juice
has me very excited for Intergalactic, and the thought that apparently came out this week or last week, Naughty Dog's working on another game as well.
I like
in
Naughty
addition
Dog.
to Intergalactic. Yeah, Naughty Dog's great. Uncharted, Crash Bandicoot.
I played the Uncharted way back at my last house. I started playing Uncharted after the 4th game came out. I played Uncharted 4, and then I went back and bought the trilogy. because it was the game of the year trilogy edition or something, and then I played through all three, and it was
Uncharted's fantastic.
Oh, it's so
Uncharted is Indiana Jones inspired globetrotting. Laura, like what I really, really want to see, and what I would absolutely love, would be for there to be some sort of new archaeological movie that has a old Harrison Ford as a retired Indiana Jones, get an older Angelina Jolie as a Lara Croft, and get Nathan Fillion or someone to be Nathan Drake, and have them all just have the quest line just just have these little touch moment cameos to those three characters would be so fucking cool, because they're almost all the same genre of thing. It would be such a neat like your Endgame style moment.
So it would have to be kind of like they're at like Archaeologist Con and they all show up.
I was thinking you could do that, or otherwise so-and-so knows something about a ring, or I run into it. The main character's like Sully person goes, oh, I know a guy I used to talk to that may know something, and they have him bring him to Sully and Nate's in the bar or something like that.
Yeah,
just neat little things like, kind of like Luthen's shop in Andor. Like, it was just a collection of everything Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of like what they did with Deadpool and Wolverine. They just kind of stuck all these different characters in.
So much fun.
You can, right?
Ryan, you were playing Expedition 33, right?
Yeah, that's on hold though, because I haven't put much time into video games lately, and the time that I have put into it, I've just been playing through Doom.
Huh, that's fair. Dark Ages?
Mindless blasting. Yeah.
How is it?
It's it's less Dark Ages so far than I would have thought.
That's a bummer.
Like the first
thing I was looking forward to about it.
The first area is just kind of like, okay, I see what they're going for here. The second area feels like a hodgepodge. Like it's almost like futuristic and not Dark Ages. But you've got like a cool gauntlet and stuff, and you're throwing a shield, which I guess feels medievally, but it also has this like weird advanced technology feel to it. So it's really hard to like get in the feeling of Dark Ages. But I was kind of hoping, it'd be a little bit more like, hey, I gotta kill something with a giant axe or something like that. No, it's still like a super technologically advanced magic gauntlet. So it's a little weird, but it's a fun game. It's a hack and slash, so I'm not trying to think too much about it. Just running around and murdering and finding little toys here and there.
That is the one thing about Expedition 33. When you get deep enough into it, you have enough Pictos and Lumina that it becomes a, oh my god, how do I want to build this? What do I want to try? And there's so many strange things in there that are so good. Like at one point, I know my son had a ability that at the beginning of combat, it killed 2 characters in the party. And then he had a bunch of Pictos that beefed up a solo character. So he'd have the 2 characters die and the one character just all the solo Pictos and Lumina so that they were super beefy, and he'd fight with one person. I'm like, that's really interesting.
Sounds fun. I mean, if you can look at combat in different ways, it's always really rewarding when you find those little tips and tricks. So I'll get back into it because, I'll say that, but also I'm aware that Nightreign is out, and so my son is on top of me to get that. I told him we got to get out of school first. Next week, he's got 4 days left. When he finishes school, we'll buy it because I don't want him.
No, you don't.
Thinking about it all day while he's in school.
Ryan Kukta, I've had the game since it launched on Thursday night at 11 p.m. and I've put, what did my timer say? 24 hours into it.
Yeah. So, like I said,
Yes.
you know, I'm trying to say I'm excited about Expedition 33, but also the world is full of distraction.
Well, you made my transition for me. Nightrein's next thing on my list because it is all I've been doing this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm skirting responsibilities and stuff too. I'm amazed I went out to the bar with Rick to watch a soccer game. It is unlike anything I've played, and it is something I've been wanting for a long time. It is literally a roguelike, replayable Elden Ring fantasy game. It is throw the best parts of the randomness and survival of Fortnite in with all the cool ass bosses of Elden Ring and the difficulty of Elden Ring, and then all the awesome little story tidbits behind Elden Ring, and give you a list of quest lines to do for each character and different characters that, I mean, like, okay, so you got the different characters like freaking Marvel Rivals or Overwatch. Like, you have specific loadouts with 1 or 2, 3 skills, and then there's it's so damn good. Then you have these little loadouts with crystals that you can use, but you're going on runs. And I yesterday, for the first time, did a solo run yesterday morning because I couldn't get a match made in the early AM. Go figure. So I tried a solo run, and I was able to get to the end of day 2 after some attempts, and I'm very excited to play it by myself. I've been playing with my son and his friends, but it is something I'm going to continue playing. Like, I'm guessing like Fortnite. It's just fun. It has that randomness. You have the one starting weapon you get, and then you drop in, and there's, I mean, like, you start getting into patterns and noticing things. Open the map, look, okay, where's the first camp we got to clear? Clear the first camp, find the first grace, level up. Okay, is there a church nearby so we can get an extra healing flask? And all the points. And last night we started doing something that I hadn't seen yet, is that the map changes at certain points, and you'll have a quarter of the map be different and have like 4 different bosses in it. And it's insane. There's one that's like, if you've played Elden Ring, there's one that's a Scarlet Rot Swamp. There's one that is almost like Limdale Capital. There's one that is like the Mountain of the Frost Giants, and then there's one that's like a volcano. And they aren't always there. Every once in a while, the world shifts, and you get one of them. And it's like, well, fucking cool. It's even more randomness.
It's not PvP. You're trying to get as far as you can in the world?
No. It's co-op survival. So you have 3 players, and you start in, and every run will, if you do a complete run, this is a complete run. I'll describe a complete run to you. You select your character at the round table hold. You party up with your friends. You get dropped in on the map in a spot, and you have a storm similar to Fortnite that is going to close you into a location for a boss fight at the end of day 1. Ideally, you want to try and get to like level 7-ish, I think 6, 7-ish, by the time you get to that boss fight, through exploring caves, fighting different bosses, fighting minor bosses, major bosses. But there's things that you can come across. We still haven't beaten the Nightbird frickin' fucktard. I'm not frustrated with him at all. So you work there, and that storm chases you down to basically forms an arena for this first boss fight. Then a mist if you succeed at defeating that boss, which is random, a mist will come through and wipe the storm away, and then you go to day 2, and it does the same thing over again. The whole world is still the same. The things you've beaten. If you dropped runes somewhere, because you can die and drop runes, if your teammates don't bring you back up. When you fall, you can be, in order to bring someone back up, you got to damage them, basically. They get a little meter that you got to chunk out. So then day 2 starts, and it's the same thing. It funnels down to an arena battle, a random arena against someone. And then if you defeat them, it leaves behind like this like oozy portal thing. It looks weird. It looks like like floating mercury kind of puddle. And you go in there and it teleports you to a different place where you can prepare for the boss you've selected for the end of that day 3 is always the big boss of the fight. And there's 9 bosses right now. And then you go in and fight him. And if you succeed, you succeed. If all 3 of you die on a boss fight, you're done. But if all 3 of you die before a boss fight or out of a boss fight, and when I say boss fight, I mean the end of day when the ring is closed, end of day 1, end of day 2, or day 3. Because day 3 is just the final boss fight. If you die during any of those 3, if the whole party wipes, your run is over. If you die outside of a boss fight, you respawn, but you've lost a level, and any runes you were carrying are left behind, just like Elden Ring, where you died. So we had a thing last night where we all died, and the storm rolled in, and we couldn't recover our runes. But this was day 1, so we got to the circle, beat the boss, and the mist came through. The first thing we did is run back and grab our runes, because they were still there. And there's
the same world.
Yep. And it is, like I said, with the changes on the map, that was the first time I had seen any of that. That was very cool. Like I said, there's 9 bosses. There's 2 of them at this point I haven't beaten. And I can absolutely see them adding many. But the big thing for me now, my big motivation is these remembrance quests, because there's like this tome that for each character, they have a chapter in it, and you go through the pages, and there is literally a quest line for them, and it tells a story about the character. And it's super cool, and I'm wanting to do all of those for every character now. And
does it seem like it's cross-platform?
I don't know if it is.
Because I'm trying to figure out. I've got. I'm trying to figure out if I want it on my PlayStation or my Xbox. If I'm on it. So, is it really? Is there graphically enhanced, or is it a little bit Fortnite-y where it's just?
Oh no, it's even. I feel maybe a step up from Elden Ring.
Okay, I might get it for the PlayStation then.
He's shiny. I like it. I like it a lot. That has been my like I said, go-to for the whole weekend, and will be for many months yet. But
well, that's what I'm thinking is going to happen next weekend when I'm off Thursday, Friday. It'll be
Elden Ring and
weekend.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Well, here I'll give you something else to do next Friday night. Friday, June 6th. It's Summer Game Fest.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Unexpected, but
it's something I've been paying attention to for years at this point, and this goes back to me watching E3 presentations like years and years and years ago, all the way back to like Xbox 360, PS3 stuff is when really, the advent of the internet streaming, when it started being able to be streamed, I was watching it.
Sure.
So super hyped about that. Interested to hear a lot of release dates now that GTA 6 got out of the way of everyone and said, hey, we're doing May 26, 2026. So now everyone's clear to announce their dates. And it's kind of funny because there was like 4 or 5 titles that came out almost immediately and went, yep, we're coming out this day then. But on top of that, there's a bunch of new stuff apparently coming too. So
it's amazing how a single game or single entity can hold up the entire industry for announcing things like that.
You guys have seen or read Ready Player One, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Oasis?
Yeah.
It's either going to be Fortnite or GTA. That makes me very kind of sad, but those games are going to evolve that way.
I think Fortnite is going to have to evolve or die at some point. But Grand Theft Auto just seems to be something that no matter who you are, you find a niche into. Like, if you just want to drive around and do chaos, you can just drive around. If you want to follow the storyline intensely, you can. Like, it's just one of those things where it feels like you can immerse yourself in the world and not advance it, but still have a great time. And those are the games that are kind of scary for other games, because like at any point I can just dip into it and have fun for an hour, and it feels pointless, but I'm not paying attention to all the other games out there because I'm still really having fun here.
Yep. I bet you no one releases anything in June next year. With it coming out May 26th, that game is going to dominate probably the entirety of the summer next year, honestly.
Maybe. I mean, I honestly don't care for Grand Theft Auto. And
Hey, you and me both. I'm still waiting for it to grab me.
I just, every time I've tried to play any of the games, I just kind of wander around. I stumble upon things, I get murked, and I'm like, I don't, like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It just feels too, it's too blah. It's too boring.
It's too much like real life. But it's too close to the real world for me to go. It's like, okay, yes, I could go collect cars, but I need to do jobs to collect cars. And
I was going to make a joke about punching hookers and running from cops, but I guess I'll keep that joke for later.
I think I really enjoy, I will say this, I really enjoy the game. To be fair, I think any game where I have to like do a bunch of jobs during the day to get money to do something loses its steam very fast for me. So like, oftentimes the game becomes just me like driving around and trying to do the coolest stunts that I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like going off the bridge and seeing if I can land on top the roof of this other building or something. Like, but I can do that for 4 hours and be fully engaged in having fun with it. So I think I guess that when I refer to as that hits a different kind of person, like it definitely hits me that way. It's like, it's a combination of a shooting game and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Like, and I do all these cool stunts and stuff like that without advancing the game, maybe. So,
for the first time in a long time, I've seen the trailer, and I'm interested. I'm interested in the story, the GTA story this time, for whatever reason. Maybe it's the relationship between the two main characters. Going back to relationships and stories.
Seems important.
I remember for you specifically being in your parents' basement and Harrison finding the developer note. You aren't supposed to get here.
Yeah, I mean, but like the more you play that stuff, that's if you stay on the normal path, you'll never find that stuff. It's just if you are inspired by going into the buildings that there's no reason for you to go into, if you like drive out into the desert or whatever, it's like those are the things that you'll find something unique, and it'll have its own value. And that's where those games that are that big, at some point they just have their own value playing it, and that's scary for some of the other games that come
like
out.
Finding the secret UFOs in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
that whole cave and everything.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what, because I see that map and now that it's like 3 cities. I'm curious to see how that sets up to have like gang territory, and could be very, very interesting in an online aspect. If they end up starting, if they got to something where there was a continual, and GTA would be big enough to do something like this, where there'd be a live map where there would be like 3 or 4 different gangs and you choose a side and it's territory control over those cities and over that map. I could absolutely see that being something that would engage me and tickle my brain and be like, where are we at today? Who's controlling what zones? I gotta get in. Help my gang take over the zone.
Do you remember the game Mag, I think it was a PS3
Yeah.
game, massive action game
Yes.
where you picked your faction and it was in real time and you were literally in real time commanding squads and groups. Like if they did that with Grand Theft Auto, essentially that's what you're talking. You're talking about real time updated who's winning the war, who's claiming the territory. But not to that scale, because I mean that's all that game was you popped in and you fought a battle and you're trying to sway the tide.
I'm actually talking a larger scale.
But
I'm talking more like Guild Wars, where you played for a week and then you reset. And
yeah, but my statement is, when I say grand scale, I mean like all you're doing in MAG is fighting. In Grand Theft Auto, if they had that same idea to where your gang is trying to control territories, that could be anything from who's got what corner for selling drugs, who's
got the cops on their payroll here.
Yeah, like you could scale that out into such a bigger game aspect that would be very interesting, because then you have people taking on roles. You have the enforcers, you have the corner kids, you have the hackers. People that you have the cops that are on the payroll. You have, I mean, so you end up with this grander scale MMO, essentially, in the Grand Theft Auto world. Like that to me would actually be more interesting than what Grand Theft Auto is right now.
Yeah, it would be a thing. And I do see, and I think part of the reason I've always bounced off of Grand Theft Auto is the controls. The controls they feel very squishy to me, very soft, and that bothers me. like they and I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like what I'm seeing happen on the screen and what I'm doing on the controller doesn't seem like they jive together very well. And maybe it's based in some amount of realism, but in a certain sense, it's a video game.
That is it. That sounds like how I feel about the current NBA game titles. Like I play NBA and I shoot and I press the shoot button, and it takes it's 2 seconds before the guy takes his jump shot, and then by the time I hold on too long, because what I'm doing on my controller is not what's happening on the screen. I try to make a juke move and it's delayed by 2 seconds. It's almost like that input is not there. It's like a super sluggish disconnect, where the game I'm playing is with elite athletes that when I press shoot, he should be shooting. When I juke, he should have the fast twitch muscle to where I press the button, he jukes. Like other video games have zero problems. Like NHL's a great example of that. Like you can deke the shit out of people left and right. You have the stick control, you have, all that, and it works to a great extent for the most part.
I'm gonna say, because I'm thinking about playing basketball and playing hockey in real life, and those control systems seem very accurate to their sport. Basketball feels it's not a fast-paced game.
It's not a fast-paced game, but if I press a button, I expect something to happen, because there's a short window to where, if you're going to have a timer for a jump shot, you have to have an accurate feel between the game and the controller, and you don't have that. So my jump shots and my 3-pointers and everything is way off because there's no timing. There's no good feel to the timing. It's the squishy control. It's not accurate to what you're seeing and doing.
I've played the 2K series a little bit and here and there, and I remember I have a lot of problems shooting in that game. So
yeah, I'll go back to NBA Jam. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's on fire. We need a modern Jam. Interesting thing about NBA Jam, The producers of NBA Jam were one of the programmers is the Detroit Pistons fan.
Mm-hmm.
It is programmed into the game that if the Pistons are playing the Bulls cannot score with less than 3 seconds left.
What?
If they are down. Yes. He programmed it. If they are down within a shot with less than 3 seconds left, that shot will never go in. It's petty as fuck, and I love it.
I heard that too. I love
so
shit
random.
like that.
Yep. All right, I gotta duck out for one quick second, but the next thing I wanted to talk about was Final Fantasy cards. We have Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy cards coming, and we'll get into that. If Ryan wants to start talking about that a little bit, I know he cards. Otherwise, if you two want to talk on something while I duck out here, it'll be like 30 seconds. Be right back.
Ryan Kukta.
Yeah, I mean, I could. But what are you thinking? Where's your head at?
Man, I enjoyed playing Magic when we played Magic together when I, card nights and stuff like that. But I haven't played a game of Magic, nor have I owned Magic cards in probably a solid 5 years.
Where'd your Magic cards go? Do you remember?
I sold them on the internet. I think I sold them on eBay. I don't know. I gave them to Jeff, maybe. I don't.
You could have given them to Jeff. Jeff would have eaten them up.
Yeah, they're gone. They're somewhere.
Yeah, I wish it was easier to get people together. Because if I want to hang out with you guys, we have 50 things we could do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And would Magic the Gathering be one of those? Right? I think the Final Fantasy brings like a combination of things to it, but also same thing. Like if we get together, we could play poker, we could go golfing, we could go out to dinner, we could go drinking at a bar, we could play video games together. Like I could think of 30 things, and what would push Magic the Gathering to the top of those things? I think right now, without the Final Fantasy thing, I'd be fine not buying any more sets. I play Magic Online through Arena, and I put $20-$40 into that a month, and I'm happy doing drafts and stuff like that, just continuing to play the game. And I don't mind giving my money to Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast because I really enjoy their product, and I put a lot of hours into some, and then I might not play for 3 months. I don't like the sets. There's no reason to do it, and then I'll get back into it and I'll do 3 dozen drafts in 2 weeks. So the reality is there's so many options of what to do. I have to find a way to align my hobbies with the people that are willing to do it with me. Otherwise, I'm sitting doing it by myself. And unfortunately, that's how Lorcana has become to me, another card game that just I play. My family used to play it with me, but they've kind of moved on. And I just go to stores and I play it occasionally, but I deck build all the time because that's one of my favorite things to do is build new decks. And so I've got all these decks with nobody to play with. So same thing with Magic the Gathering. I might have 15 Commander decks, and I'm about to buy 2 more because I love Final Fantasy World so much.
Yep.
But I have decks I've built I've never played. And that's really my biggest concern is, with the consumer dollars being limited, how can you continue to invest in things that you're not getting that engagement out of? So that's the hard part is you could play online with people online, video games, but it's harder to play a trading card game across the internet. And so that's the harder part for me is I may love it. It may be the most fun thing to do, but if you can't find people to connect with on a regular basis, you're throwing your money away.
Yep. That's where D&D really kind of stepped into the Magic thing, is because it's like, here, buy this book and we're done buying stuff, but we're going to get together regularly and hang out. And hell, I mean, that's half of D&D. I mean, look at us every Sunday morning. We talk well beyond our start point and just catch up and hang out. And that it's more about finding the time to be friends.
Yeah, but
Really.
we can do that successfully over the internet, right? And so the time that we spend together is equal to just the amount of travel time it would take to get us together.
Yeah.
Right? To do any of these other things. And so that's the difference of how it fits into a lifestyle nowadays, and how I would love to do. I would love to play Magic every single week with everybody, but man, when you think of the logistics, it just isn't feasible. And so then you think about, okay, well, how much money should I be spending on something that isn't a repeatable hobby that really I can find engagement in?
And that's one of my things with Magic and any CCG collectible card game is I enjoy the games. It's like Hearthstone. I dipped out of Hearthstone because I don't have the time, money, or energy to keep up with all the sets that they put out and all the different mechanics, and it's too much. It's overload. It is like, I think about how much time and money Genius has spent in Magic. I'm like, that makes me tired.
Yeah, well, Genius is different though,
Yeah.
because when he invested, he's going to get a return on that.
Yeah.
Because the value of the sets that he collected when he collected them continues to go up. Where nowadays you invest in a set, and as soon as it's out of standard, the value plummet. And that's very different now.
I was talking to him after last week's show because we were talking about Magic the Gathering. He said, last time he calculated, looking at what he had, he estimated that if he sold his sets outright right now, even to like a store, he would make back the money he spent.
I believe that's true.
He'd break even, he thinks, right about now. So,
but think about the time and effort and the upfront financial cost with anything like that, and it's like, to me, it's exhausting.
I mean, if we go back there though, the reason that Jeff was able to put these sets together is because 7 of us were all together on a regular basis helping him finish his set.
Accurate.
Like, almost priority 1 was make sure Jeff had each one of the cards.
Yep.
And then priority 2 is whatever's left, let's trade. Right? Yeah. And so I'm not trying to take credit. What Jeff did was a gargantuan effort, right? And he had to be solely focused on that.
But let's be honest, Ryan Cook did it too.
I'll tell you a story. I mean, what Jeff and I, at some point, I had this box of foil cards, and I'm like, well, Jeff, I'll give you these foil cards, and I won't pay for the next set, right? I bet if he goes through those foil cards, they're probably worth $1,000. And that box that I bought was probably $150, right?
Yep.
But that's the focus he had. It was always about collecting for long term instead of trying to have the best standard deck or the good stuff at the time. So again, it's about what you're focused on. And right now, I'm focused on building decks and trying different things. But you're gonna love this, John. It feels like Star Wars changes all the time. Lorcana they have 4 sets a year, not 3 sets a year. And just the difference there, that it's constantly moving, is really tough. It's really tough to stay current. And so from that perspective, when you start to think about the investment to stay current in the metagame and stuff like that, like, who's got that kind of time?
Yep, exactly. And that's really where I when I got back into Magic, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to buy a commander deck and play the commander deck and maybe make a few tweaks to it. I'm not going to buy a lot of packs. I think to this point, since I've been playing Magic again for the last 5-6 months, I think I've bought 2 packs of cards, period. I've bought more Star Wars cards because Magic is constantly, here's a secret layer, here's this special set, here's this Outer World set, here's this, and I can't keep up. I can't keep up. I don't want to try and keep up.
You never could.
I will buy the commander decks that make me happy. I.e., I will probably end up with, like you said, 2 or 3 of these Final Fantasy ones, probably 2 of them. The Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 7 decks, likely. But getting back to, like, you introducing me to Star Wars and their cadence of 3 sets a year, I went, oh, this feels right. This feels normal. This is what Magic was when we played it. It was 3 sets a year. And that's where things, even when I got out of Magic, were starting to devolve because they were getting out of the main set, expansion for a year. They were starting to do main set, and then have a smaller set somewhere in there. And I'm like, just keep your pattern recognizable. So I know what's going on.
The difference too is if you're playing with your friends versus going to tournaments. Like you guys were going to tournaments and you were going to events, so you have to keep up. If you're just playing with your friends, you can buy 6 different decks or 6, things, build your deck, and just be done. So there is a difference between playing with just your friends and not keeping up versus events and shit.
I think to both of your points though, like the moment that Magic stopped being fun is the moment that Magic kept hitting you over the head with stuff and you realizing this is too much. I can't have the things I want in Magic anymore. So what's even the point?
Mm-hmm.
When they started having 4 sets a year instead of 3, plus all these collector's edition stuff, plus all the secret layer stuff, plus new commander sets here and again, plus all the tie-ins to other, I forget what they call them, but the tie-ins.
The Upper World one, the Doctor Who and Lord of the Rings and Final Fantasy.
I love Doctor Who. I've watched every single episode that's available to me, and I love the world. When the Magic the Gathering set came out with multiple commander decks and the boxes were like $250 instead of $150, I look at that like, I love it, I can't have it, what's even the point of dipping my toe in if you can't immerse, if I can't set up a deck to be Doctor Who because I can't afford that much, what's even the point of buying 1 or 2 packs? It's not you're not going to integrate a Doctor Who card and a sonic screwdriver into the decks you have, and then it just stands out. It sticks out like a sore thumb. You want to immerse yourself in the theme, and to do that, it just is financially unfeasible.
It's financially.
So I don't know who's out there doing that. Yeah, who's out there doing that right now? It's only the collectors, and that's why this market is driven with the regular cards being worth almost nothing, and then chase rares being worth $200 a piece, because it's driven by collectors, and they're just eating up all the product, and all this stuff is bulk rare except for the chase cards. And that's what you got right now. And it's if I'm investing money and almost everything's worth $1 or less, except for the 1 or 3 cards that are $100, this becomes a lottery ticket. And that's not fun.
It reminds me of Pokemon and baseball cards. It's just all collection. Even Pokemon cards, it feels like that's just a collection thing now. Nobody actually plays Pokemon; they just collect the cards. And when I worked at Target and Shopko and did loss prevention, all this stuff, I would sit there and I would just watch these guys walk in, pick up a box of baseball cards that was open, and they would feel the packaging to see, does this one have that foil card? It's dude, you can't tell. They said they had a system. Oh, you can tell. You can tell. Dude, what are you doing with your life? Like, you are sitting here in a store for an hour and a half, feeling each individual pack of baseball cards for a possible foiled card. And
People waited in line at GameStop for the latest Pokemon release. They showed up at like 6 a.m. and waited in line for the store to open. Some of them bring scales, and they only buy the heaviest box.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the higher likelihood of extra foil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we at one point we ended up having policies to where, like, dude, you can't just stand there for an hour and a half doing this shit. Like, you pick out a pack of cards and fucking go.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Nobody's building a Pokemon deck with these cards. Nobody's putting these into a deck. They're trying to find those chase rares that like make you gasp when you open them. You check the price, then you put it in your binder, and it stays there for a couple years. Like, I don't know. It's not the game that I grew up playing, John, where you open up a new box and you build a completely new theme deck and you can't wait to play it with your buddies. It's like, I'm not sure why we're buying the cards anymore.
Or you show up.
The game has changed.
You show up to game night on a Tuesday night or card night, and you nobody knows that you stuck a foily card into your deck, and when you play it the first time, everybody's like, "What are you doing?" Like, holy crap, you got that.
There is that is back in a little way, but the way to go there now is like the game has gotten away from deck construction. There are two people that do most of these now. There are the collectors and the players. And the players don't necessarily build decks. They're like, deck building's a lost art. Everyone net decks now, or it's a pre-conned deck that you've watched a video and changed out cards based on a budget you had to make the deck better. But that's the thing, is you get those decks and everyone deck list forms. So then when you drop something that isn't in there, there's an appreciation of, oh, that's a good card to drop in there. And that's where the deck building stuff goes. But that is, God, I remember in the height of playing, when we were getting together every week in that like 10-year time period, 7 to 10 year time period, I remember my pastime was writing out deck lists. But doing that now is almost ridiculous because everyone plays Commander. So you're doing singleton. So writing out a deck list is a massive thing. I had a pattern that I did. I mean, I would do 24 lands, 16 spells, and what was it? 24 lands.
20 creatures?
And 20 creatures. Yep. 16 spells, 20 creatures. And I would just dummy. That was my dummy default list, and then I tweak things from there. But I come home from work with pieces of paper that I had written. I'm like, oh shit, I got an idea for this. And it's like, I need 4, 4, 4. So like, I'm having to remember what a grand total, like 10, 15 cards maybe. Now you're doing singleton, so you got to think, holy hell, I need. So I can't do that in my head. You got to sit down, and it's an afternoon of putting the deck.
But so the deck about standard pool right now is like 10,000 cards.
Yeah.
Where you used to have to remember, 1,000, 1,500 cards.
Yeah.
Like, remembering that 10,000 cards exists, like, it's impossible. You can't do it.
Deck building now requires the internet. It requires programs to do. And they're out there, Architect and all them. And it's not what it was, but I do enjoy playing the game and the interactions that the cards have. And so buying the precons and changing out 4 or 5 cards, and the biggest thing now for me that I'm starting to learn is I gotta do research before I buy the precon. I have twice bought decks that are not my style decks. And I'm starting to learn, playing again, I'm starting to learn what is my style deck. I do not like token decks, which is scary with this Final Fantasy set, because there are tokens all over the fucking place in this set. But I mean, making token creatures, I prefer graveyard manipulation, reanimation stuff, or and I don't have a good one, and I think the Cloud deck is one, what they call a Voltron deck, where you put out one creature and you put a bunch of equipment and enchantments on them. And so I'm really, I'm kind of stoked for that.
But it's not a coincidence that you're a Johnny player, though, because I think from that perspective, the Johnny player is something that is trying to play the game in the game, right? It's trying to set up your plan and make your plan work, and you're not just trying to kill someone as fast as possible, and you're not.
That has always been me. Even with my Sliver deck, I wanted the Queen out, and I wanted the Acidic out, and I wanted the Victual out, so that I could just make a bunch of slivers and then sack them to do the damage to you. I'm not attacking with them. Why would I do that? That's boring.
Yeah, and I think this started with a Final Fantasy, but really became kind of nostalgic on how we wish trading card games were once, and you still could be. But I think from the Final Fantasy stuff, I am really excited to just get into the world. I'm excited to have people excited about it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that'll turn into a little bit more, hey, let's just play Magic again a little bit.
Yep.
And that'll turn into, something else. But just getting together occasionally, it has its own value, and I don't care what we do.
Yeah.
So.
And Genius says sealed drafting is probably the purest way remaining.
Yeah, that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, I mean, a sealed deck and being able or being forced to build your deck, I think we still do that at Scott and Beth's house occasionally. We'll either do a sealed deck tournament or we'll draft. And I think it was shocking the players that you knew were good Magic players, but once you're forced to build a deck out of a limited pool and be creative and still use the best cards available, and it's an equalizer, man. People don't build decks like they used to, and so I always feel like I have a little bit of an edge, because I think in terms of deck building, I don't think in terms of this archetype works best. I think with my limited resources, this has the best chance of getting my opponent from 20 to 0. And so I think it's a different mindset of how to play the game. But to Jeff's point, yeah, when you have a limited pool, it forces you to think more creatively.
I'm sorry, I'm scrolling the I absolutely agree with what you're saying, Ryan. I'm scrolling the card list and I just saw Rosa, Resolute White Mage.
Oh.
It's crap like that there's a different thing here going on. And I was talking to someone about the 4 games they chose to do for the precons. They chose 6, 7, 10, and 14. And those are 4 very distinct generations of Final Fantasy. Mm-hmm. And it is all the Final Fantasy fans that are getting everyone in. I know there are people absolutely through the moon and excited about the Final Fantasy 14 stuff, which is the least interesting stuff to me. And there are people that are
played it.
I never played
it. I don't even know about it. Yeah.
I played a little bit of it and I know it, but I don't know any of the story really. I never got deep enough. I played to level 30, I think was my highest level character. So I don't know the deep story of it or any of the story they've told over the last 10 years. And then you have all the people that are like, oh, Final Fantasy VII Cloud, man, there's Cloud and Barret and Aerith and all them, and I'm in that group. I love all those characters. But it's the Final Fantasy, what we know is 2, but Final Fantasy 4 that is really Rosa, Cecil, Yang, all of them, Kain. It has and my favorite card, and it's not even that powerful, is the Cecil card. That you lose life slowly with him when he's a Dark Knight, and then when you get to half of your starting life total, you flip him over and he has lifelink, and he's a paladin, and you start gaining life. And I'm like, that is such a neat way to represent what that character was in that game, and what a transformative moment that was when we going up the mountain and having that ceremony, and then coming back down, and everyone's it's different. It's so good. Also, fun fact: Final Fantasy 2 or 4, US 2, World 4, first video game ever to make me cry.
When Palom and Poro, I was gonna say that had to be that moment.
Yep. That and then in the final fight when they all come back as spirits and are like, "You can do this!" And it's like, "Oh fuck no!" And them and Tella and everyone are like, "No! Oh god, don't do this to me right now! I'm trying to fight this boss."
Yeah, I always if we go back to the video games, I always thought 6 was my favorite, but now I've played 4 more than I've played 6, just because it was re-released on the Wii and stuff like that. I played it back through on the Wii and certain handheld stuff, and I do think the story's better. Like when you climb the mountain, you're not just going to a location; you're going to a location, fighting the 4 fiends. Like that, everything has its it's a crescendo of seriousness, and I feel like 6 misses that a little bit because it's a little bit like, the world of ruin, and then you got to find everybody again. It feels a little more arduous and less like really focused in on the path getting more intense as you go forward. So
it's really interesting that you bring up favorites, because we're getting near the end of our time here this morning, and I had mentioned at the beginning of this when we got together that at the end of every one of these, I'm going to do a top 3. And we're going to discuss top 3 ever. And this week, coming off this card conversation, and Ryan pivoted us nicely to video game conversation. Your top 3 Final Fantasy games of all time. And Ryan, you were talking, and you said you think 2/4 is probably your favorite.
If I were to gauge the amount of fun I've had playing the game, it's probably different than the amount of time I put into the games.
The games themselves and not the side games inside them.
Yes.
Well, that will be a different top 3. Well, maybe next week's top 3 will be your top 3 mini games within a Final Fantasy game.
So those who know me well know that I'm a sucker for the side game. Like, I will put the main game aside for a month and just hammer the side game. So if I were to rank Final Fantasies, for me, it's 4 now, 10, and 6.
In that order?
And
4 number 1, 10 number 2, and 6 number 3?
4, 10, and 6. And then if you include the side games, then it's much different.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this and thinking about this and thinking about this, and I am a story guy. I am a story guy at heart, and it makes sense now that I'm thinking about it. That my 3 favorite Final Fantasy games, 16, which is the one that just came out, because that story is freaking amazing, and it's such a unique callback in many, many ways to what we've grown up with.
Never
but
played
a very
it.
adult story. And then 2 or 4, like you. And then 3. And 3 isn't necessarily for the story. I love the job system. I loved it in Final Fantasy Tactics when we first saw it. And then, and by we, I mean Americans. And I loved, and specifically not 3 as we know, but 3 on the DS. That's how I played Final Fantasy 3. So that 3D remastered with 3 on the DS was so good, and I love that job system so much, and it's what has me excited about the Bravely Default remaster on the Switch 2, and why I enjoy Bravely Default 2 so much. I love those job systems. They're super, super fun. Especially when you change your job and they change their clothes a little bit and they look a little different. And I mean, that was half the fun of the first game too, right? The very first Final Fantasy, when you go, oh yeah, we're making a monk and a fighter, black mage and a white mage, and then you go through that evolution process. The white wizard and the black wizard, and it's like, what? So cool.
I'll say this about Bravely Default, since you brought it up. That is one of the coolest aspects of any of the Square games. If you've got the same character but they change jobs, they look slightly different. And then if you look at a different character with that same job, they look different. Like they keep their own aspect, but like he wears a top hat because he's a banker, and he wears a he wears a pouch if he's a hunter. Like that kind of thing, I feel like I got a ton of value out of. And you really miss that in games when like you change the weapon but the strike looks the same. Like
Remember that being like in the first one when you change the weapons, that sometimes the weapons would look different. It's like, oh, look at the weapon, it's like bigger now. Shit.
Think about if it's piercing versus like a hammer shot versus it's very different.
He had a Gus pawing at the door apparently. So yeah. Tom's getting plugged back in. We're gonna get Tom's top 3 Final Fantasy.
Yeah. All right.
We've been sidetracked in this because it's easy to do.
So my number 2 is, and I was thinking about this before and I forgot to look it up. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It was the one where the Talking About Kukta's side quest where you played the ball game. Was that 9? 10.
Blitzball.
10. 10.
So 10 is my number 2. I had a lot of fun with that. I thought it was different mechanics than what your original Final Fantasies were. There were some things in there, like some active hitting, I think, when you were battling. And I like that. So that's my number 2. Number 1, my number 1 is Final Fantasy 1. I spent so much time and I played, like, that's what got me into the actual RPG. Like, that is it. That is the
gateway.
That is my gateway to RPGs. And even to this day, I have Final Fantasy 1 on my iPad. Like, it's so fun.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Octopath Traveler.
Oh. Number 3 Final Fantasy game is Octopath Traveler.
Like,
I love it.
It's fair. I can see it.
That game is awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It was awesome.
Like, it can't be number 1 or 2 because it's not Final Fantasy, but it is it is more fun. Like 7, up until I started playing Octopath Traveler, Final Fantasy 7 probably would have been my number 2 or 3. I was kind of going back and forth between those two. I beat 7. I beat 1. I didn't beat 10. I dabbled into 2/4. I dabbled in like the current iterations to me are not Final Fantasy. I might as well play.
No, 10 was the last actual Final Fantasy, if you ask me. Like pure Final Fantasy.
I might as well play Elder Scrolls Online. I have more fun in Elder Scrolls Online than I do the current iterations of Final Fantasy.
You just brought up Mystic Quest. Anybody ever play that one? That one's fun too.
Yeah, briefly.
I remember that.
Briefly, that is a very, very good one.
But yeah, so that's like one is my gateway drug. 10 was a lot of fun. So I would actually put 10 and 7 as my number 2. And then I guess I could make 7 my number 2 and 10 my number 3 and Octopath Traveler my
honorable mention offshoot.
But Octopath Traveler has to make the list just because it's basically...
I'll give that to you. That's as much Final Fantasy as any.
Yeah, it is more Final Fantasy than anything past 10.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they've Square as a company has said, here, we hear what you're saying that you want these, but they aren't going to be called Final Fantasy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting them in Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default, and the like that. We're getting stuff like that still. Now, with the success of Expedition 33, I am really curious to see what Final Fantasy 17 looks like. I'm also very curious to see what Pokemon looks like the next time it comes out. Like the first Pokemon that had a full development cycle. Like, there are games that are going to look at what Expedition 33 did with combat and go, we need to figure out how to do that.
I really like the for lack of better words, Final Fantasy static combat with active triggers. Like to me, that's fun.
That's Expedition 33,
Mm-hmm.
and it is on a level that I've never seen, and it's amazing.
I'll tell you, my only problem with that type of thing, Tom, is I play video games on my handheld until I fall asleep. And sometimes with the active battle system, you just fall asleep and you wake up dead. And I don't want that.
Well, you just don't play that game.
You can play World of Warcraft and fall asleep and wake up running into a corner. Like I did several times in my life.
Maybe. Yeah, I think, well, I mean, when I reminisce about the first Final Fantasy game, it's playing it in Derek's basement, in my cousin's basement. And, it was exhilarating, right? No game was like this before that. And we're in combat, and oh my god, a new creature we're battling we've never seen before. We don't know if it's hard or not. I remember, me and Jeff and Derek just like pretending we're the characters when we're in combat and swinging the real hammer, stuff like that. And
I remember narrating what was on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
me and Ben Schmidt playing, and
yeah, it brings a passion to it. And I think that's why Final Fantasy games are special. They brought something different, and people like tapped into a passion.
There's a different
for other games.
Yeah, there's a different set of memories that goes alongside Final Fantasy, and it's because I didn't own it immediately, and I was renting it from Denny's Video. And an interesting thing back in the time of this, and something that if there are any children listening to this, your saves weren't on the system. Your saves were on the cartridge. So you'd rent it for the weekend and play it and get so far, and then you'd have to bring it back, and your save went back with it. I remember trying to get to Denny's early enough that I could get it again for the weekend and pray that our save was still on there. And sometimes you're disappointed, but there were a lot of weekends for like a month straight, me and Ben were getting together and got a hold of it, and were able to play through the majority of it by renting it, having the same save file each time.
Yeah, that was renting games. Fun. Yeah, the kids will never understand the joy of renting a game, and then renting it again a month later, and having your same save file attached to it.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's funny. I always left save files alone if, like, I'd look and see who was the furthest a lot of times, and I'm like, okay, I'm not deleting that one because they're very far. Here's someone that's only like an hour in. I'm going to delete that file, and I will start a file there. Mm-hmm. But if I saw anyone that was like super late in the game,
you kind of want to be able to compare. Like,
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
I'm where that guy is now. Let's look at his party and see what I'm missing. Right. So.
All right, John. Yeah. What do you think? You ready? Close it out.
Oh, I suppose we can close it out. Oh, yeah. Actually, you do the closing. You're the closer.
I'm the closer. Warmed up. I'm all warmed up. Ready for my one inning. I'll throw a couple of strikes and then have somebody hit a home run.
I just saw a card. It's a Magic the Gathering card that exists prior to this, called Farewell. Choose one or more. Exile all artifacts. Exile all creatures. Exile all enchantments. Exile all graveyards. It's 2 white and 4 colorless. But the artwork on the Final Fantasy version of it is Tidus with his arms wrapped around Yuna.
Oh God. This set's gonna kill my wallet.
Right. Exactly.
All right.
Go ahead. Take us out of here, Tom.
We are 2 Nerds, 1 Quest. We are here Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Central Time, twitch.tv/Tom M Norm, TOMMNORM, or bit.ly/NerdTube. That is our YouTube channel. Go there for all of our past shows, all of our current shows, all of our shows in general. Patreon.com/2 Nerds, 1 Quest. If you want to support us, $1 gets you all of the pre and post show content and the uncut videos. And just support us, rate us, review us, give us some ratings, reviews wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow the channels, Costs you nothing to give us a follow. Help us get discovered. That's it. It's the best. That's, it's all we want. We just want to have other people see our fun stuff. That being said, for me, for Coach, and for the, what should I call you today? You're not the DM, JC. You're the announcer, JC.
Host
JC.
The host with the most.
The hostess with the mostest.
Hey.
Later, nerds.
Hometown.
Don't even get me started on Triple Triad.
In the game.
Yep.
Which